Commander John Miller stood at the viewport of Harmonious Unity Station, watching the stars. His reflection showed a man with tired eyes and a forced smile. 15 years since Earth joined the Galactic Council, and humans were still treated as dangerous pets rather than equals. Commander Miller, the Valaxian delegation requests your presence, said the station eye. Miller straightened his uniform. Another day, another chance to be diplomatic while aliens looked down on him. Literally, in most cases, the Valaxians stood nearly 8 feet tall. The meeting chamber buzzed with alien voices. 6 different species sat around the circular table, their bodies ranging from insectoid to vaguely humanoid. Ambassador Krell of the Valaxians towered over everyone, his iridescent scales shifting colors with his mood. "Ah, the human arrives," Krell said, his translator making the words sound smooth despite his clicking mandibles. "How kind of you to join us. Did you need to take extra oxygen supplements today?" A few aliens made their species equivalent of laughter. They all knew humans came from a high-oxygen world compared to most council races. Just another way to point out human differences. Miller smiled. "No more than usual, Ambassador. Shall we discuss the Arcturus mining rights?" "Yes." Krell's scales flashed purple, amusement. "Your species has requested access to the outer asteroid belt. The Council finds this request ambitious." "Earth has followed all proper procedures," Miller said. "Our mining technology works efficiently in conditions other species find challenging." "That's precisely what concerns us," Ambassador Zelara of the Trill Confederation added. Her gelatinous form rippled. "Deathworlders with more resources could be destabilizing." There it was again. Deathworlders. The term had started as a scientific classification. Planets with high gravity, extreme weather, dangerous wildlife, and other hazards that would kill most sentient species. Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world, one of the harshest known inhabited planets. But over the years, the term had become almost a slur. Earth has maintained perfect compliance with all Council regulations for 15 years, Miller said, keeping his voice even. "We've shared medical advances, helped establish colonies on harsh worlds other species couldn't develop." Yes, Krell interrupted. "Your species is very helpful with brute labor tasks. But Arcturus is a delicate system. The Council has decided to award primary mining rights to the Valaxian Imperium." Miller blinked. Without a vote. Earth's application was submitted 3 standard cycles before the Valaxian request. "The vote occurred this morning," Ambassador Zelara said. "Perhaps your invitation was misdirected." They hadn't even pretended to be fair. Miller felt his face growing warm, but kept his expression neutral. "I see. Earth will, of course, file a formal protest." Krell's scales rippled with blue-green mirth. "File whatever you wish, Commander. The decision stands." As Miller left the chamber, his communicator buzzed. The face of Lisa Reeves, lead cynobiologist at the Human Research Section, appeared. "John, I need to see you immediately. It's about the tissue samples we provided for the medical exchange." 20 minutes later, Miller stared at Lisa's findings. The secure lab was sealed, jammers activated to prevent eavesdropping. "They're weaponizing our biology," Lisa said. Her dark hair was pulled back, her expression grim. "These tests aren't about understanding human physiology for medical advances. They're studying our adaptability, our pain thresholds, our cellular regeneration, all military applications." Miller scrolled through the data. Multiple species involved. At least 4 council members, including the Valaxians. They're specifically interested in how humans adapt to toxins and radiation, things that would kill their own people. Miller's jaw tightened. He touched his communicator, using the highest encryption Earth had developed, one not shared with the Council. "Admiral Garcia, this is Miller. We need to talk. The situation has escalated." He paused, looking at Lisa's findings again. "Yes, sir. I believe it's time to activate Protocol Omega. Earth has played nice long enough." As he ended the call, Miller watched an alien ship dock at the station. More diplomats arriving, more species who saw humans as dangerous curiosities to be studied and controlled. They had no idea what dangerous really meant, but they were about to find out. The U.S. Neptune drifted silently through the asteroid field in neutral space. Captain Susan Blake watched her crew work from the command chair. They were all scientists, not soldiers. The Neptune was a research vessel with minimal defensive capabilities, as required by Council regulations for human ships. "Captain, I'm picking up an approaching vessel," said Eric, the sensor specialist. "It's not broadcasting identification." Susan frowned. "Hail them on standard frequencies." Before Eric could respond, the ship rocked violently. Red emergency lights flashed as the crew grabbed onto whatever was closest. "We're being attacked," Eric shouted over the alarms. "Zeraxian vessel, combat class." "All hands, emergency protocols," Susan ordered. "Power down non-essential systems and prepare for." Another blast hit them, harder this time. A hull breach alarm sounded from the lower decks. "Captain, they're using military-grade weapons," said Maria, the first officer. "We can't withstand this kind of assault." Susan's mind raced. Council regulations prohibited human vessels from carrying comparable weapons, claiming it was for galactic security. Now her crew of 42 scientists was defenseless. "Send the emergency distress signal. All channels, including the direct line to Earth Command." The ship shuddered again as the Zeraxians locked on with a tractor beam. Through the viewport, Susan could see the attacking vessel, sleek, predatory, and bristling with weapons no pirate ship should possess. "They're boarding us," Maria said, her voice tight with fear. Susan stood tall. "Remember your training. Non-violent resistance only. The Council will have to intervene once they see we followed all protocols." But as armored Zeraxians poured through the airlock, their weapons raised, Susan felt a chill that had nothing to do with the ship's failing life support. The aliens weren't trying to hide their identity. They didn't care who knew. No one was coming to help them. 3 days later, Admiral Frank Carter slammed his fist onto the conference table at Earth Command headquarters. The holographic display showed the Neptune's last transmission before capture. 42 civilians taken, and the Council calls it an unfortunate incident in unregulated space. He growled. The Earth Leadership Committee sat in silence, watching the footage repeat. President Laura Wilson's face was grim. "Show them what our deep space intelligence recovered," she said. Carter nodded and changed the display. New footage appeared. The Neptune being escorted by the pirate vessel directly to a Zeraxian military outpost. "This wasn't random," Carter said. "Intelligence suggests the Zeraxians were specifically targeting the Neptune because of Dr. Simon Ward's research on adaptive terraforming. Terraforming technology that could make harsh worlds habitable," said Defense Secretary Bill Harris. "Technology the Council races don't want us to have." President Wilson looked around the table. "Options. Diplomatic channels have failed," said Linda Cole, the Foreign Affairs Director. "The Council refuses to acknowledge Zeraxian government involvement, despite our evidence." "Meanwhile, we've lost contact with our people," Carter added. "The tracking implants all Earth personnel carry went dark 12 hours ago. That never happens naturally." The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. "And Commander Miller's findings?" President Wilson asked. "Confirmed by 3 separate sources," Carter replied. "Multiple Council races are studying humans for military applications. The Neptune incident is connected. They wanted Dr. Ward's research and saw an opportunity to study human resilience under stress." President Wilson stood up. "Send a direct message to the Galactic Council. Earth demands the safe return of the Neptune crew within 72 Earth hours. No exceptions, no negotiations." "And if they refuse?" Secretary Harris asked. The President's eyes hardened. "Then we activate the Jupiter fleet. The Council believes we have no military capacity beyond our defense force," Carter noted. "They've never seen what humans can really do when pushed too far. And I hope they never would," President Wilson said quietly. But they've left us no choice. If they won't respect us as equals, they'll fear us as enemies. As the leadership filed out, Carter lingered, studying the image of the captured Neptune. "Hold on," he whispered to the frozen faces of the crew. "We're coming for you, and God help the galaxy when we do." The 72-hour deadline passed without any response from the Galactic Council. In the war room deep beneath Earth's Rocky Mountains, President Wilson nodded grimly to Admiral Carter. "They've made their choice," she said. "Begin Operation Thunderclap." Carter pressed his palm against the security scanner. Authentication approved. Operation Thunderclap is now active. Across the solar system, hidden bases came to life. Ships that no alien race knew existed powered up their engines, and on a stealth vessel approaching Ziraxian space, Major Alan Pierce briefed his rescue team. "The Neptune crew is being held here," Pierce said, pointing to a holographic map of the Ziraxian military research facility. "Our intel suggests they're being kept in the subsection marked in red." The 12 men and women of Strike Team Alpha studied the layout. They wore combat suits unlike anything the Council races had ever seen. Adaptive camouflage that changed not just color but texture and even temperature signature. "Rules of engagement?" asked Sergeant Diane Foster, checking her weapon. "Rescue is primary," Pierce replied. "But we're not playing by Council rules anymore. Anyone who threatens the mission is fair game." The team nodded. They'd trained for years for a mission like this, hoping it would never be necessary. "One more thing," Pierce added. "These suits and weapons have never been shown to non-Earth forces. Keep it that way if possible. We still have the element of surprise." An hour later, Strike Team Alpha slipped past Ziraxian security like ghosts. Their suits adjusted to match the metal walls of the facility, making them nearly invisible to both electronic sensors and organic eyes. Inside, Pierce led them through maintenance tunnels that human engineers had designed years ago. Another secret kept from the Council. Earth had helped build many alien facilities, adding hidden pathways only humans knew about. "Life signs ahead," whispered Diane, looking at her scanner. 37 human signatures. 5 missing from the Neptune's roster. Pierce's jaw tightened. "Move in." The door to the research lab hissed open. Inside, the Neptune's crew was divided into separated cells. Some were hooked to machines. Others lay unconscious on examination tables. Ziraxian scientists moved between them, taking samples and notes. Pierce gave the signal. His team moved with silent efficiency, neutralizing the Ziraxian scientists before they could raise an alarm. 3 guards reached for weapons but dropped before they could fire a shot. "Get these people out of here," Pierce ordered as his team began disconnecting the Neptune crew from the alien machines. A young scientist from the Neptune stared at Pierce with disbelief. How did you find us?" "The Council said humans had no military capacity beyond Earth orbit. The Council believed what we wanted them to believe," Pierce replied, helping the man stand. "Where's Captain Blake?" The scientist's face fell. "She died yesterday. They were testing her resistance to some kind of neurotoxin. Said they needed to know human limits." Pierce felt cold fury rise inside him. "Where is her body?" "Examination room 3. They're still studying her." Pierce clicked his comm. "Command, this is Strike Team Alpha. We have 37 survivors ready for extraction. Captain Blake is KIA." His voice hardened. "Request permission to send a message." Admiral Carter's voice came through after a brief pause. "What kind of message, Major?" "The kind the Ziraxians and the Council won't forget." A longer pause. Then, "Permission granted. Make it clear." As the team escorted the survivors to their extraction point, Pierce and 2 soldiers made a detour to Examination Room 3. They recovered Captain Blake's body, treating her with dignity the aliens had denied her. Then Pierce placed small devices throughout the facility, not just explosive charges, but advanced technology that would corrupt their research data beyond recovery. "This is for Captain Blake," he said as they departed. And for every human the galaxy thought they could push around. From orbit, the Ziraxian facility looked perfectly normal, until half of it vanished in a flash of light that defied known physics, leaving a perfect hemisphere of nothing. The message was sent. Earth was done playing nice. The Galactic Council chamber erupted in chaos. Ambassador Krell of the Valaxians stood at the center, his scales flashing angry red. The humans have attacked a Ziraxian research facility. This is an act of war. The holographic displays showed the aftermath, a perfect hemisphere cut from the facility. The edges smooth as glass. No known weapon could do such damage. Commander Miller walked calmly into the chamber. The aliens fell silent as he approached the speaker's podium. The Ziraxian research facility was holding kidnapped human scientists, Miller said. We recovered 37 survivors. 5 others, including Captain Blake, were killed during alien experiments. Preposterous, Krell hissed. Miller activated his own holographic display. The room filled with images of the Neptune crew, humans connected to machines, surgical cuts on their bodies, medical readouts in Ziraxian script. Evidence gathered by our rescue team, Miller said. And yes, we have a rescue team. We have a lot of things you don't know about. As he spoke, alerts began flooding into the council chamber. Representatives looked at their devices in growing alarm. What is happening? Demanded Ambassador Zillara. Earth is done playing nice, Miller replied. In the outer reaches of Earth's solar system, hidden facilities in the Kuiper Belt opened like blooming flowers. Ships emerged, not the small defensive vessels the Council had permitted humans to build, but massive warships unlike any design the galaxy had seen. Admiral Karen Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the flagship, EDF Resilience. 30 years of her life had gone into this ship, built in secret, tested in the shadows between stars. All vessels report ready, Admiral, said her first officer. Begin Operation Revelation, Karen ordered. Send the signal to our forces throughout Council space. Across the galaxy, hidden human operatives received the signal. Sleeper agents embedded in alien outposts activated. Secret weapons platforms came online, and human ships already in space revealed their true nature as camouflage systems deactivated. In the council chamber, the alien representatives watched in horror as reports poured in. Impossible, a Trill representative whispered. Humans have ships in every sector. Military-grade ships. Miller nodded. For 15 years, you've restricted our technology, limited our defenses, and treated us like dangerous animals. You studied us, thinking we didn't notice, but we built anyway. We prepared anyway. On the main display, the human fleet moved with perfect coordination. The ships were strange, ugly by alien standards, with thick armor and unconventional designs. Those vessels can't possibly function in combat conditions, Krell said, but his voice lacked conviction. Can't they? Miller asked. You never understood what makes humans different. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day. Our ships are built the same way we are, to survive what should be unsurvivable. As if to demonstrate, 3 human vessels dove into a gas giant's crushing atmosphere to evade Ziraxian pursuers. The alien ships pulled back while the human ships continued operating without difficulty. Gravity, radiation, temperature extremes, the very things you use as weapons against other species are what shaped humanity, Miller continued. You classified Earth as a death world and thought that made us primitive. You never considered it made us stronger. In another sector, human ground forces deployed to a high-radiation moon where a council listening post monitored Earth communications. The soldiers moved without environmental suits in conditions that would kill most aliens within minutes. Your biology is impossible, Ambassador Zillara said, her gelatinous form quivering. No, Miller replied, just adapted to harsher conditions than you can imagine. A junior council aide rushed in with new information. Human forces have secured 7 strategic locations. 3 mid-tier council species have declared neutrality. Miller looked at the shocked faces around him. This is just the beginning. We've been holding back, playing nice, following your rules. His eyes hardened. That ends today. The Deathworlders had finally stopped pretending to be tame, and the galaxy trembled. The emergency session of the Galactic Council stretched into its 3rd day. Delegates from all major species argued about how to handle the human problem. Military reports from across the galaxy showed human forces securing strategic positions with shocking speed and efficiency. We must unite against this threat, Ambassador Krell insisted. His scales had lost their bright color, turning a dull gray from stress. Humanity has violated dozens of treaties. Treaties they were forced to sign, countered a representative from the Borrelian systems, one of the neutral parties. Treaties that left them vulnerable while you studied them like lab animals. The chamber doors opened, and Dr. Daniel Wright entered. The human scientist walked with a slight limp, the result of Earth's higher gravity. Behind him floated a simple metal case. The Council recognizes Dr. Daniel Wright of Earth, announced the Council speaker, a Meridian whose 6 eyes blinked nervously. I come with evidence and terms, Daniel said, his voice carrying across the chamber without technological amplification. Another human adaptation. Vocal cords developed to be heard over storms and predators. Daniel activated a projection system. The air filled with thousands of documents, research files, and recorded conversations. For 15 years, we've collected evidence of your conspiracy against Earth, he said. Biological weapons designed to target human DNA. Studies on human pain responses. Deliberate economic sabotage of human colonies. He gestured, and the documents arranged themselves by species. The largest collection belonged to the Valaxians and Zeraxians, but nearly every major council race had some involvement. You feared us from the beginning, Daniel continued. Not because of anything we did, but because of what we are. Deathworlders, creatures who evolved on a planet that should have killed us. The alien delegates shifted uncomfortably. None denied the evidence. And now you see we had reason to fear, Krell said. Look at how quickly you turned to violence. Daniel shook his head. We turned to self-defense after 15 years of patience, after you kidnapped and murdered our people. He opened the metal case and removed a small device. It fit in his palm. A simple sphere with a soft blue glow. This is why we're here today, Daniel said, to demonstrate one technology we've kept hidden. One of many. He activated the device. Throughout the chamber, delegates gasped as they felt the gravity shift. Some began to float slightly above their seats, while others found themselves pressed down harder. Targeted gravity manipulation, Daniel explained, turning off the device. We can increase or decrease gravitational force in specific areas. We can create gravity shields that no current weapon can penetrate. The implications were clear. Most Council weapons relied on gravity effects for targeting more impact. Earth's terms are simple, Daniel said. Equal representation on this Council. Reparations for the Neptune crew and their families. Recognition of all human territorial claims. And most importantly, acknowledgement of humanity as equals, not specimens to be studied. Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. The main display activated, showing a Zeraxian battle fleet approaching the Council station. It seems the Zeraxian Empire has made their decision, Daniel said calmly. The lead Zeraxian vessel fired a planet cracker beam, enough energy to shatter a small moon. It struck the station directly. And nothing happened. Daniel held up the gravity device, now glowing brighter. The energy was redirected. You'll find it safely dispersed into nearby space. The Council delegates stared in shocked silence. You have one standard day to consider Earth's terms, Daniel said. We prefer peace. We've always preferred peace. His expression hardened. But we're prepared for the alternative. As Daniel turned to leave, the Zeraxian ambassador stood. This isn't over, human. Your gravity trick won't save you from the full might of our empire. Daniel paused at the door. "You still don't understand what Deathworlders are capable of. This wasn't our most advanced technology." He smiled slightly. "It was one of our first prototypes, from 12 years ago." The chamber erupted once more as Daniel departed, leaving the council to contemplate a galaxy where humans were no longer pretending to be harmless. The Xeraxian Empire chose war. Their massive fleets gathered at Proxima Centauri, the closest star system to Earth. Over 200 warships formed a battle line, their weapons powered and ready. General Olivia Martinez watched from the bridge of the EDF Defiance. Her small fleet of 30 ships seemed hopelessly outnumbered. "They expect us to retreat," she said to her officers, "or to bring reinforcements." "We could call in the second fleet," suggested her second-in-command. Olivia shook her head. "That's not the plan. The council races need to learn why Deathworlders are classified as dangerous." She opened a channel to all her ships. "Begin Operation Checkmate." The human vessels split into 5 groups and accelerated toward the Xeraxian line. The enemy commander clearly expected them to turn back when they saw the odds. When they didn't, the Xeraxians opened fire. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes shot across space. The human ships didn't try to dodge. Instead, the gravity shields that Dr. Wright had demonstrated activated, vending the incoming fire away from the ships or absorbing it completely. "Phase 2, Olivia ordered. The human ships released thousands of small objects. To the Xeraxian sensors, they appeared to be debris or countermeasures. They ignored them, focusing their fire on the larger ships. Lieutenant Paul Jackson led Fireteam Bravo in one of the hundreds of drop pods now speeding toward the Xeraxian flagship. Each pod contained 4 soldiers in advanced combat suits. "Remember your training," Paul told his team. "Xeraxians evolved on a low-oxygen world. Their ships maintain those conditions. Our advantage is that we can function in their environment, but they can't function in ours." The pods slammed into the hull of the massive Xeraxian dreadnought. Magnetic clamps secured them as the human soldiers cut their way inside. Alarms blared as the Xeraxians detected the breach. Paul checked his oxygen levels. His suit could recycle his breath for hours, filtering the low-oxygen atmosphere of the alien ship. The Xeraxians, meanwhile, had never developed similar technology. They had never needed to. "Target their environmental controls," Paul ordered. "Standard Deathworlder protocol." His team moved through the ship with practiced efficiency. Years of training in simulated alien vessels now paid off. They reached the environmental control center and quickly overwhelmed the guards. "Beginning atmospheric adjustment," said Sarah, the team's tech specialist. She connected to the alien computer system using an interface humans had secretly developed years ago. Throughout the massive ship, the oxygen levels began to rise. For humans, the change was pleasant, closer to Earth normal. For the Xeraxians, it was devastating. Their respiratory systems weren't designed for oxygen-rich environments. Across the battlefield, the same scene played out on dozens of ships. Human strike teams infiltrated enemy vessels and turned the aliens' own environments against them. Ships that weren't boarded found their systems compromised by advanced AI programs that Earth had kept hidden from the Council. On the Defiance, General Martinez watched as the Xeraxian fleet fell into chaos. "Their ships are breaking formation," her tactical officer reported. "Several vessels are powering down. Others are trying to retreat." "All strike teams report success," added another officer. "The flagship has been secured. Lieutenant Jackson reports minimal human casualties." Olivia nodded. "Send word to Earth Command. Phase 1 of the Battle of Proxima Centauri is complete." As the reports came in, the full scope of the human victory became clear. Of the 200 Xeraxian ships, nearly half had been captured intact. The rest had retreated in disarray, and the humans had lost only 2 vessels. Across Council space, the news spread quickly. The Xeraxian Empire, one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy, had been defeated in less than 6 hours by a human fleet 1/5 its size. Other council races began to reconsider their positions. Several opened direct communications with Earth, seeking separate peace agreements. They had finally understood what it meant to make enemies of Deathworlders. They thought we were prey, Olivia said quietly, watching the captured Xeraxian flagship. They never considered that on Earth, we were always the predators. 6 months passed since the day humans revealed their true strength. The harmonious Unity Station looked different now. The once Grand Council chamber had been rebuilt, but with equal seats for all species. No more raised platforms for the superior races. Commander John Miller, now Ambassador Miller, walked through the corridors with a straight back and steady gaze. Aliens no longer looked at him with pity or disgust. Now they moved aside, their eyes showing a new emotion, respect, mixed with a touch of fear. He entered the chamber for the first official meeting of the reformed Galactic Council. Representatives from 27 species were present. Some had fought against humanity. Others had quickly declared neutrality. A few had even offered alliance when they saw which way the wind was blowing. The Council recognizes Ambassador Miller of Earth, announced the new speaker, a Borrelian who had been among the first to support human equality. "Thank you," Miller said. "6 months ago, I stood in this chamber as evidence of crimes against humanity was presented. Today, I come with a different purpose." He activated a holographic display showing a document titled The Deathworld Accords. "Humanity has never wanted war," Miller continued. "We wanted what all sentient beings deserve: respect, safety, and the right to determine our own future." The chamber was silent. The Valaxian representative, not Krell but a younger diplomat named Saren, looked uncomfortable but attentive. "The Deathworld Accords establish new principles for galactic cooperation," Miller explained. "First, no species will be discriminated against based on their world of origin. Second, technological development will not be restricted based on species. Third, all medical and scientific research must have informed consent from participants." Basic principles, Miller thought. Things that should have been obvious. Yet it had taken a show of force to make them reality. In the front row sat Lisa Reeves, now director of the Interspecies Scientific Exchange. The program she led was turning former military research into medical breakthroughs that benefited all species. "The Xeraxian Empire has agreed to these terms," Miller added, noticing the surprise on many faces. "Their new government understands the benefits of cooperation." What he didn't say was that the Xeraxian homeworld was now protected by human gravity shields. Shields controlled by Earth. Trust would take time to rebuild. Earth ships now patrol major trade routes, ensuring these accords are respected, Miller continued. "But our long-term goal is a joint peacekeeping force with representatives from all worlds." As the session continued, Miller noticed a young aide watching him with curiosity. When the formal meeting ended, the aide approached him. "Ambassador, may I ask you something?" The young Trill's form rippled nervously. "Of course. Why did humans wait so long? You clearly had the technology and strength to demand equality years ago. Why suffer 15 years of mistreatment?" Miller considered the question. "Because we truly wanted peace. On Earth, our history is filled with war. We know its cost better than most species." He looked out at the stars visible through the station's viewport. "We hope to find a better way in the stars. And now we understand that peace requires strength, and respect sometimes must be earned through demonstration." Miller smiled slightly. "But make no mistake, what you saw was restraint, not aggression. We could have done much worse." The young Trill seemed to consider this. The old council members used to say that Deathworlders were dangerous because they evolved through constant struggle. They were right, Miller said, but they missed something important. Constant struggle also teaches you the value of cooperation, of finding solutions besides fighting. It teaches you to end conflicts quickly and decisively when they can't be avoided. As they walked together toward the diplomatic wing, Miller saw Earth rising over the lunar horizon through a viewport. His home. A beautiful death world that had shaped his species into something the galaxy had never seen before. Remember this lesson, Miller told the young aide. Deathworlders play nice by choice, not by necessity. The galaxy is fortunate that humans want friends more than we want conquest. The young Trill nodded slowly, finally understanding what the Council had missed for 15 years. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their biology. It was their restraint.